Hey guys, this is Poet Spice and I am here to do a color page for you. It is a Karla Magana page out of Tropigoth. Now I know somebody is having a Tropigoth color along. Also my girl JoJo is hosting a Karla Magana all year because I'm like, I need somebody to do it. Da, 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 da. So she's like, I'll do it. I'm like, you go, girl. Now I also had a request to do a picture in Crayola crayons or super tips. And so I decided, today I feel like doing that. I probably won't finish it in one day because doing crayons does take a longer time. But I am going to go ahead and start that with you guys today. So it's a 96 piece set, just regular old crayons. And I have chosen 3. So I've done the whole 3 color combinations to get blends. So I've chosen raw sienna, what is this one? Chestnut and sepia. So if you wanted to do the same, let me see if I can get them all there. So if you wanted to do the same, you could try it out with me. And then I have some black. And so the first thing I'm going to do is, I always do a little swatch. So somebody asked me about that. And then to get it the way I want. And so the other thing I will use is my finger. Sometimes I use a paper towel, which I don't really have one right here at my desk. And then the other thing I use sometimes is a stylus, with the round little ball thing. And of course, can I see any of that? No, because why would I be prepared? All right, so I'm going to start with her skin first. So maybe I can move down a little bit. And I don't know. I will probably end up going a little silent or speed through some pieces because I don't know if anybody wants to sit here and watch me color this 100%. I don't know because it'll take me a while. So first I'm going to start with her skin because I decided that I liked these colors for her skin. I'm going to start with the raw sienna and I'm going to use light strokes. So just like anything else, like if you push real hard, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and do really light strokes. And for the most part, just try to go in the same direction as, all the other strokes. So that way, you don't get extremely harsh lines or anything like that. So if you tend to use harder pencils, I guess, you could think of it as like you're using your harder pencils where you got to layer things up. Because that's exactly what you're going to end up doing. Because if you go really heavy, you will mess it up. And you won't be able to blend it. Because I'm not going to use any kind of other chemical to blend this. I'm just going to use my hands and the crayons. So no alcohol, no blending solutions. Now I'm probably going to give her some makeup, but I'm going to come out here to the edge of her hair anyway. And then come up here. And so this is my lighter color. And I'm going to put it everywhere except right there in the center where her eyebrows, not your eyebrows, what do you call them things? Your eyelids. Because if I give her makeup, then I don't want the color to not stick. So just like around here on the edge. And then down here, I'm going to consider that this piece right there, if you can see it, is a dress. And then this will be the rest of the dress. So this is a neck right there. That's what I'm going to assume. And then this will be jewelry. So I'm going to do the same thing here. And just come down. Like that. And then to get in some of these little tiny pieces, you can see that when you work your crayon, you're going to get these like flat edges. And then if it's not thin enough, then I'll just turn it over and I'll tend to use this edge. So like there's a point right there, so I can get into that little area. And then I can just go ahead and then work that. And then here. Now there is a point where it becomes, a place becomes too small, that using crayons probably isn't practical. So notice for this, most of the areas are bigger, not teeny tiny detail. And I suppose you could do it if you did a lot of sharpening with your crayons, but that just seems like a lot of wasted crayon. Now I will say this too. I do not use, this is going to sound funny, I do not use budget crayons when I color with crayons. So Rose Art and all those kind of ones that are like really cheap, because they are much harder to work with. Now some people will be like, well, crayons are hard to work with. Oh yeah, but not as much as like Rose Art crayons would be. And so here you can see, and it doesn't look like much, right? It just kind of looks kind of scratchy. But then I'm going to go to my second color, which is the medium tone, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Now I was coloring this way, so it might be more difficult because of the coloring going this way. So I'm just going to go the other way. So where I was coloring this way, now I'm going to color that way. And I'm going to use light layer again. And then this is going to go where I think my shadows would start falling. So she's going to have shadow underneath her eyes, right? She's going to have a little shadow there. And even though these little, this is where her makeup is, I'm still going to put a little bit there. And then we'd come down here. Now I'm still going, I'm going this direction because it's letting me do that. But if I have trouble laying down the color, so see, like I'm not really having trouble laying down the color here. So if you start having trouble laying down the color in the direction you were going before, just change directions. And so I will show you that too, because right now it's letting me do what I want. Okay, so I have a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit in that there, a little bit under her nose. All right. And I know some people are like, only color in one direction, like you pick it up and go. Well, you do whatever you want and it feels good. I like to go back and forth. Okay. So that's what works for me. That's the whole thing about this whole coloring thing. If you're not getting paid, color it the way you want to. Notice too that I just turned my book because it made it easier. So turn, if you need to turn it. I don't know. I am a big proponent of this is supposed to be fun. Do what works for you. You're not getting paid. And if you are getting paid, okay, yay, bully for you. But if nobody's paying you to create art the way they want it done, do it the way you want to. Do it the way that works. Do it with supplies that you like. So for example, every time I talk about it, I hate Prismacolor pencils. I can't stand them. I don't like the way they work, yada, yada, yada. I don't like them. I do have some skin tone ones because, you know, it's kind of hard sometimes to find good skin tone pencils. So I do have some, and I do use them every now and then, usually for skin tones, if I'm going to use them. But I would prefer to use a Crayola crayon than a Prismacolor. Now, I know some people swear by them, and like I said, you do you, baby. Okay? So, you do not have to have fancy supplies. You don't have to have the most expensive. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. Now, if you want to, more power to you. Nobody's saying don't. But you're the one paying for your stuff. You're the one that has to use it. So you should get what you like. Okay. Like there's some people that they only flat color. I don't like flat coloring. So I rarely flat color. And that's just been me since before. Like even as a little kid, I would like outline and like make colors darker in different places. And I didn't know anything about that. So some people flat color. I don't like flat coloring. That's not to say I don't like the way their pictures came out. It's just saying that I personally don't like to do that technique. Does that make sense? So I rarely flat color. The only time I flat color is if it's something that's really small. And keep in mind, I came from crafting. So let me show you. This will be on my video today. Well, the day. So this is a stamp in a hat that I colored, right? So here's this. This is like the size of my finger. You can see it in comparison to this image that I'm coloring, right? So look at the bunny in comparison. Look at the hat in comparison. I mean, the hat is smaller than her. So, and as you can see, all of that was not flat colored. Because I don't like doing it. So I don't. If you like flat color to your heart's content, baby. Woo, woo. Okay, so now I'm going to do it with my third color, which is darker. And so I am going to go back into the areas where it's going to be darkest. And notice still, you still have this scratchy look, but we're not done. So now, especially here, this may be, because now you have at least 3 layers of pencil, or not pencil. You're not using pencil, poet. You're using crayons. So here, I either start to do a little bit of a circle work, or I definitely start going the other direction if it will not let me lay down the color. And then I'll use a little bit more pressure. Not a lot, because if you go, it's not, you messed up. Okay? You messed it up. So I'm just going to go back over here. And we're going to come over here. So these places where it would be extra dark, I'm putting this color. So it's my third color. And notice I'm still going over. So there's like 4 or 5 times I went over that area. But still not with a lot of pressure. More than what I did before, but not a lot, because it will be difficult to do. Now sometimes you will get crumblies. And so you just, some people have like the little brushes. I just try to move it off. I think some of those little color brushes are so cute that they have. I don't have one though. Okay, so then I want this one a little darker right there. And here. And then this would definitely be darker, right? Because this is way under all these curls. Okay. Then I want some over here. And so see, now I have to go this direction because it's not letting me color as much. Or, as you see, I kind of went circles because that'll cover it. And let me get some more color in there. Yeah, I want some right there. There we go. So hopefully this is helpful for you. If you like. Okay. And each color I put on is a covering less area. So the lighter color colored the whole thing. The medium color went further, but not all the way. And the darker color is going to do even less. You cover less ground with it. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully you can see. Can you see what I'm doing? All right, so then we're gonna go down here and we will go here. And this would be dark. See, it's not getting me as much color, so I got to go this way now. Okay, so it's not getting me what I want. So I'm then going to kind of do little circlies. Circlies, circlies, circlies. And a little bit in here. And a little bit in here. And a little bit right there. Right here, right here. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Alright, so then we want some up here. This line darker. Okay, so that puts us at 3 different colors. And it still doesn't look the way I want it to, right? It doesn't have that. So I'm going to go back to my medium color. And I'm going to go, okay. Now, you can go back and try to erase these when they go out the line. I don't really worry about it too much, because it'll be okay. All right, so now what I kind of want to do is kind of just rub this in a little bit. And like I said, I just pretty much use my fingers, or I will use a paper towel or something, but I don't have one with me because I didn't plan on doing this today. There we go. And so what am I doing? I'm just kind of moving it around, and it'll fill in some of the little lines. And then if you get like, there's a little piece of wax, because they are crayons, so you are going to get those wax. So you can just take that off. All right. So now I kind of want to go over everything that I already did, and I want to bring this out. All right. So like, it needs some more here. It needs some more here. In here. And so I'm still doing relatively light pressure. I'm just going over all the stuff that I colored though, except for where I want it light. So I'm still not doing that yet. And if it won't allow, then I go the other direction. All right, so it wasn't giving me enough color, so I have to go the other direction on the paper, if that makes sense. And then I can start doing my little circles. And now, like I said before, this is what I do. I don't know what other people do. Okay. You know, actually, I don't see very many people who actually do crayon work, so I don't know. I don't know what they do, but this is what I do. All right, so then here was my lighter color. Now I'm going to do the same thing all over the whole thing. And so now I know that I want this piece to be darker than this, so I can go back over this with a little more pressure. You still don't want to go, rah, rah, otherwise it's not going to work. You're going to get streakies. Okay, so I want a little bit there, and then I want this darker. And so you notice that by going over in circles, that white space that you miss, it starts to go away. And so we want this a little lighter. And then I want this over here. And then I'm going to push some of that crayon over into there. And that helps it as well to get some of that white space out. I'm going to go over here. And see, I want some more of it out, so I'm going to do it again. And then we're going to go over here. I'm just going to keep going. And then I also move the, like you saw me turn the crayon, because it is a crayon and you work through it faster than you would a pencil, you do have to change and turn your crayon around so you don't get, because you'll get these, let me see, so you'll get those sharp ridges, right? And then you'll get flat places, and so depending on where you are, you gotta readjust. Like here, won't give me the color, so I had to turn it. Okay, and then I know I want this dark, so I can just go over that with more pressure. And you have to adjust your pressure. So I would not do this on something that you like really, really want to come out really well the first time, if this is the first time you're doing this. Because you have to figure out like your pressure and how, whatever, because I'm heavy-handed, so I can probably get some more color quicker than people who are like really gentle with a really light touch. I am not that gentle with a really light touch. So I have to be really careful with like how much pressure I put on. But then when it's time to get that pressure on, so when I want this to be much smoother. But we're almost there though. So can you see? I don't know if you can see. So we're almost there to where I would want it. Now keep in mind, we're working with crayons, right? So if you're used to working with marker looks like this. So you're not going to get the smooth marker piece. Now you could use alcohol to like thin it out, and spirits and all that crap. But if you're like, if you're going to use crayons, just crayons, it's not going to come out the same smoothness unless you spend a crap ton of time doing it. And I mean a crap ton of time. And it's still going to have a different look because of the medium. So some people are like, oh, well, I wonder why mine isn't looking like this, yada, yada, yada. Well, if somebody did something in oil pastels and you do it in watercolor, it's not going to look the same, because watercolor is not oil, or, you know, oil pastels. If you do it in crayon, crayon is a totally different medium than, you know, alcohol markers. So alcohol markers are meant to blend and smooth and go into each other. Crayons were not designed for that. They were designed for kids to play around with, right? And kids typically aren't worried about, hey, I want the smoothest color possible. They're worried about, ooh, I'm in the lines or not in lines. Also notice I'm not worried about being totally in the lines, because it's going to bleed anyway. And then whatever you put over it, you can rework it. All right, does that make sense? Hopefully makes sense to people. I'm not boring you to death. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then I need this. Now, this is at the bottom. She's at the top. All right, this part's at the top. So this one I know I want darker anyway. And so it wasn't giving me enough this way, so I got to go this way. It wasn't giving me enough color. All right, and see, I put a little too much pressure there. And so I'm just going to rub it out. All right, you see that? You see that, girls and boys? I don't know if I have any guys who watch my coloring channel. I don't know how many people watch it anyway. Da-da-da. I have so many hobbies and stuff, and then, you know, you got work and whatnot, and so I don't know. So if you would like to see more stuff, please leave comments and like and subscribe and share, because then it let me know somebody's watching it, and then I can go ahead and add more. All right, so there we go. And I'm going to, I was trying to see if I did have a little piece of tissue or something. It's like, of course you never have it when you actually need it. Then any other time I'd have like 18 napkins sitting around. Because you know that's how life works, right? You don't need it, and then you can find it. You need it, and then, yeah, no, not anywhere at all. No, it wasn't me. It was the one-armed man. I'm going to try this, because it's just like a round tip real quick. So let me see if I can get this to do it. That'll work a little bit. There we go. And so now I am pushing harder, because I want to try to get some of the areas where I know there's more pencil, or not pencil, I keep saying pencil, crayon. I want it to smooth out a little bit. And then, even with that, I know it's kind of weird. I use whatever, like I said, use what you have, use what works for you. I know that a plastic something will work, or even a metal one. Now you do have to be careful, because if you leave marks in here, like you don't want to go, if you leave marks and then try to go back over it, you'll see the marks from you'll see tool marks when you go back over it. Hopefully I'm not pushing hard enough in her face. I don't really care like in the leaves, because you could just make it look like part of the leaves. But you don't want like crazy marks on her face. That would be, what's wrong with you, girl? What happened? What happened, girl? Are you all right? You got marks on your face. That's because my drawing artist, she just went and jacked me up. Alright, I want some more here. Get a little more this way. I want to tilt my crayon so I can get another direction. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to take black. So I got my black crayon. And I am going to go in certain areas. Now, if I'm going to say this, if you use the black, there's no coming back from it. Okay, so you can't go really hard, because you're not going to get that out. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here, because this would be the darkest area, right? And just put a light bit there, right? See that? I'm hardly pushing, just enough that you can see. So can you see the difference? Okay, so then I'm going to go right here, because this would be dark, right? But I'm going to try not to put a lot and not heavy, because that black, once you get it in there, it's not moving right. Okay, so we can put a little darker there, because this would be like in and up. So this one right here, you could put more there. You could put a little bit right there, a little bit here in the V, right? Right there, a little bit right here, a little bit down on this side, then over here, definitely right. And then see how it wasn't giving me any color, so I had to turn my crayon to make it go the other way. This way here, then we can get a little bit right there. And then even without it being blended in, you can see the difference. So then here, this area would be darker, right? And so notice I'm not putting heavy pressure on this, because if it comes out black, you've messed up. It'll be hard to get that out. And then this will be here. Then you have a little bit down this one. Okay, so then I'm going to take my other dark. So I'm going to go back to the darkest brown I had and go right over it. Boop, boop, boop. So now you left the brown color anyway, and then your black is over it, but because you're pulling some of that, now see how it's streaking right there? So we're just going to take it, and because we want the dark color that way, I'm not going to pull it down, I'm going to push it back. See that? I'm going to push it back in the direction that I want it. We still got a little like scrubby pieces. Most of my nails are gone, so we're going to take that off. Right, so then we can get that, there's no crayon dust. Now, you've got this up here. I don't really care. We're going to take this. So it helps blend that black area back in. But you're using your darkest brown. And so what that does is it makes that black have that brown in it. Right? So you get the shade. Now, by this time, there's probably like 6, 7, 8 layers of color on there. So, if not more. And then see, this looks not blended, so I'm just going to go back over it. Oops, not giving me color, so I go this way. Here, that's not working, so I'm just going to go in circles. See? Now, it still kind of looks weird because it's got the little pieces. So I'm just going to go back over it. Use my fingers to push the little stuff in. And then there's these little bits which is basically the wax part building it. So I'm just going to take that. And you don't want to gouge it because then you'll have really big scratch marks. You just kind of want to scrape it off. You could use some other tool or whatever, but it just is easier for me to use my fingers. So now I'm going to leave that. And then what I typically do, so I'll leave, here's my colors that I use. And I'll leave them in this order because they don't actually look like that order, do they? They look like they're different colors. So I'm just take those and put them on the side and leave them there. Then I need to figure out what I want to do. So I will probably go with these leaves because green will be easier to figure out. All right, so see you in a little bit. Okay, so I did some swatching of my greens and I have gone with these three. So I'm going to show you these three in this order. So we've got spring green, we have olive green, and then we have asparagus. Okay. Now, keep in mind there's yellow greens, blue greens, yada, yada, yada. And then this one is more of, it's got a different, so you can look at it, see it's got a different kind of, there's not as much yellow in this one. So then we've got forest green. So I think I'm going to use this one as like an accent. And then these three are going to be my main color ones. And then we'll pull in that black again, or we may pull in like a brown or something. It just depends on what it looks like, right? So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do these big leaves here. So just these three. And then I think what I will do is just like speed color through these. I don't think you need to watch me do it twice. Okay, so here is this right here. I'm going to show you. So we've got this here. If that bothers you, you may be able to erase it. If not, don't worry, just color over it. So I'm going to take my lightest color again, and I'm going to color this, all of this. I don't know how much you'll actually be able to see because it's kind of a light green. And I wanted the light greens with the yellow. So that will be the highlights, right? And then I'm just going to go over this. Once again, light pressure. And it's easy when these places are really big. So this is a good size. Pretty much everything on here you could color with crayons, depending on how careful you want to be. So I'm not going to finish her face yet because I usually end up matching the makeup to whatever the rest of this looks like. So then I'm just going to go ahead and get in here. Like I said, I'm not worried about, pretty much I'm just trying to go in one direction, but I'm like back and forth versus, you know, whatever. You can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I guess I should ask questions now. I always have a hard time with these, which is why I don't do very many talky ones. It's usually just speed color. But since I had a request about actually coloring with it, I thought I would try to go ahead and do this. Now I'm not sure how to load this. I don't know if I should do it in parts, but then people tend not to watch the rest of the parts. But then, do you really want to watch a really long video? I don't know. You know? I don't know. You tell me. And then, you know, some people prefer one way, some people prefer the other. The only thing I don't like about making really long videos, like, you know, videos that are 1 to 2 hours, is because they take forever to load. Forever. All right, so we've got that. So then I'm going to go ahead with the medium color. And like I said before, I pretty much color with crayons generally the same way I do with alcohol markers. I usually go from light to dark. Unless the area is really small with alcohol markers, and you'll go dark first because then you can see. All right, so it's letting me do the same direction, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And so all this area down here would be darker than it is going to be at the top. So we're just going to go ahead and fill a lot of this in. And then where they have these little extra lines, we'll make those darker too. And then, like I said, anywhere where it won't let you go the same direction, just change direction. So I would go this way if it's not giving me color payoff. And light pressure, always light pressure, until you are pretty much done. So when you are like, there's no more I'm gonna put on here, no more layers, then you can go full bore, full tilt, full pressure. Because then all you'll be doing is basically smushing it. You'll be smushing it all together. Smush, smush. So we want this darker. All this is behind these, so we want that darker. So it's giving me problems, so I'm going to go this way. All right, what are y'all doing? Are you guys having a good part of 2024? There's been a lot of drama over here, so I mean, things could always be worse, but it's been a drama, especially these last 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks. Bunch of crap going on. All right, so it's giving me problems, so I'm going to go the other direction because I was going this way. So I need some more color, so I'm going to go back this way, sideways, versus the up and down I was doing before. Still just light pressure, and just go over it multiple times. If you get the little scrunchies, you know, just kind of like brush them off. If they get too much, then you can kind of scratch them off a little bit. Just never do anything like really full bore. Okay, so like total on whether it's scratching or erasing or whatever. So like this piece is getting a little much there because I put a little too much pressure. So we'll just take that off. Okay, it's giving me problems, so I'm going to go the other direction. So, all right, and then I'm going to turn my book. So I know some people won't turn their books because they're on camera, but do what you need to do, babies. You do you, okay? You do you. There's no sense in making it harder for yourself. All right, just do what works for you. Do what works for you. Now, this is the bottom of this leaf, so all this part is going to be darker than up here. So, and then I've got some of those little scrunchy things. I'm just going to kind of scrape them off. Oh no, this one's crumbly. A little more crumbly. So, just work with what you got. Take it off. So in that respect, it's easier than pencil, because pencil you got to erase and blah, 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 blah. Crayon, not necessarily. It just depends. It depends on you. All right, so then we're going to take the third one, which was our asparagus. Asparagus. And then we're going to go with the dark places. The dark side, Luke. Okay, this leaf is in front of here, but it's behind here. So this one's going to be darker down at the bottom. So let's see, what's it going to let me do? All right, I'm going to have to do circles. Let me do, no, it'll let me do it. So I can just go here. And let me do this one. Yeah, this part I need to do the other direction. And then, of course, if you did not know or did not realize, some colors are waxier and crumblier than others, even though they're all the same brand of crayons. It's just like pencils. Like some pencils will be Ooh, these are much smoother, or these will cover much easier. Same thing with this. So you'll notice that the green is giving me a lot more crumbles than this brown did. So you just work with it. Same thing. So I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to try to get in here. All right, see, crumbly crumblies. Just going to scratch them away lightly so you don't put gouges in your paper. And then I'm going to get in here. And then I can already tell this isn't as dark as I want it to be. So we're going to have to do some stuff to get it that way. All right, then we've got this. This is definitely darker. All right, I'm going to put some of these in. It's darker. And then even though this is at the top, I still want a little bit of this dark color. And so once again, it'll let me put more color down if I'm doing circles in this area. So I'm going to try that and then come back down. Okay. All right. Then we're going to come over here, and we know these are going to be darker. Now, here's another thing. I could go ahead and put these in heavy. So I'm just going to put heavy pressure right here just to show you that you can. And this is going to be darker. This will be darker. And then I'm going to go back to a lighter pressure down here. And then in here. Okay, we know that this down in here is going to be darker because it's behind. Right? All right, it's giving me problems, so I'm just going to go ahead and do circles. And I want to come back down in here. Okay. Then on this side, I want some of this on this side. All right. And so you got the little greeblies there. We're just going to keep going because I'm going to do them all at once. Because it's this color, these greens are giving me these little pieces of wax more than the others. I'm just going to go ahead and leave them there. And then I'll come back and fix them. Because otherwise it'll slow me down. All right, and then I want this to actually come like that. Alrighty then. Okay, so then down here, this will be darker, so I'm just going to go ahead with that. Pretty much cover most of that up. And then in here, it's going to be darker. And then these little folds are going to be... Now, I'm using heavier pressure here because this is at the bottom. This is going to be dark no matter what, because it's at the bottom. And then same in here. Since it's towards the bottom and dark, I'm going to put heavier pressure. Okay, and then this I will fix, so I will take that out because I can't tell how much darker it is if the, if the wax is sitting there. So I'm going to take this out so I can see how much farther I need to go. So I need to go some more. So I'm just going to keep going over this area. And then here, I know I want this heavy dark. I want this dark. And I want that dark. And I want this fold in there dark. And then I want this darker. So I'm just going to circle that though. Right. So I'm going to put heavier pressure down here. Because I know that this is going to be dark. Okay. All right, so then we have our 3 colors. So now what I'm going to go back to is I'm going to go through and fix this as far as like moving some of these greeblies. All right, so now these are going to be green here, so I'm not worried about any of this moving over into that. Matter of fact, it'll make it easier later. Sorry if you're thinking if it's shaking you too much. Now, I could try this, right? But because it's got a smaller area than what I want to cover, it's just easier for me to use my fingers. Take some of that off. Take some of this one off. And like I said, other people may do different things, and it's okay. You find what works for you. All right, so this is a smaller area, so I can go back to this and kind of smush it around and get it in there the way I want. Right. And then this is going to be green, so see, you're kind of helping this out already by moving some of that color in there. So when it gets time to color it, it's already half colored. And so this I knew I wanted dark, so I'm just actually pushing that back in. And then this will take some of this off. Yeah, if I want more off, then I'll just scratch it off. I don't want as much as that on there. The wax. Now, you see how I'm brushing it? Don't brush it where you don't want the color. Like, I don't really care because it's just the way I color. So, you know, every color is going to be reflected in what you're doing. So, like if you have on a blue dress, the blue dress is going to reflect on brown skin. So, you'd have a tint of blue wherever that brown was. You know, I mean, you'd have a tint of blue on the brown wherever it reflects. Does that make sense, y'all? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, son? You know what I'm saying? All right, so then I don't want as much as this wax greebliness, so we're gonna get rid of some of that. And this right here is another reason why I don't really use the, I know crayons are budget, but Crayola crayons, I don't use like Rose Art and stuff because their content of wax is even higher. So it makes it more difficult. That doesn't mean you can't use it. So if you have those and you want to try it, go ahead. That's just why I don't use them. Like I said, use what you got. Use what's comfortable. I wish I had. See, there's some things you don't know and you can't know until you've purchased them and tried to use them. So for example, we've already discussed that I don't like Prismacolors. Everybody was making this big fuss about Amazon basic color pencils. Amazon basic, Amazon basic, Amazon basics. And it took me forever. I was like, well, I don't need any more pencils because I don't know how many cents I have. I got more than I need. Right? So I was like, I'm trying to be good and not buy these. But everybody kept talking about them, right? Talking about these pencils, these pencils, these pencils. So I finally broke down and bought some because they were on like a really good deal at like Christmas, Black Friday. Well, Christmas time more than Black Friday because they were on sale at Black Friday. But Christmas time, they were even more on sale. So I went ahead and bought some. Oh, I can't stand them. I cannot. I don't like them. I'm probably going to give them away to somebody. Whatever. But I don't like them. Okay, so then you can see that. All right. Now, I actually would like these to be darker. So, I am going to try. Let me see. No. Oh, I don't like that one. Let's see. What we got going on here? Nope, that one changes the color. So I'm looking for a different green, so is what I'm doing. And I don't really want that one. Oh, well, maybe I do want that one. Okay, so I was going with the yellows, but now that I've pulled this one out, I kind of like adding some of this green that has more blue in it. So then it kind of pulls more tropical. So I'm going to take that, which is just your regular green. And now I'm going to go back in different areas to make this color stand out. So I kind of like it. Whereas I didn't before. I didn't want that, but now I do. So I'm just going to go through and put it on there. And I'm using more pressure than I did the other rounds. Okay. But I'm not going to put it everywhere. I'm just going to put it in some places to give it a little something. I think I like it down there. And then maybe we could do these tips. And the pressure and direction all are based on how much crayon you have already down. So there's not as much on these tips. So I can use less pressure. Right? Okay, there is a lot down here. So I need to increase pressure. Does that make sense? And I am going to put a little bit more right around here, right there. And so now I'm just adding it where there's not even necessarily lines, but I like that better. All right, now it's not perfect because I am going to go back and do some other stuff, but we're gonna keep it moving. So I like this. Don't need as much there, but when I get down here we need a more pressure, so I'm gonna put that right there. Right, and then I feel we should have something here coming down this way maybe. Right, and since I had less up here, we can always add more, but you don't need as much pressure. All right, then down here, let's do this centerpiece. And then here, want some there, some here, a couple stripes there. Definitely on this side. I don't know why. I like it on this side over here. Now I'm pushing it hard, so I'm using a lot of pressure over on this side. Okay, so then, right. And then we're going to put some down here. Now we already had a lot, so now I have to press harder. Right, so I have to press harder because we already had stuff down here. Yep. And then maybe here, and then maybe a little bit here. And I don't have to press as hard here because there's not as much crayon right there already. And then bring that up like that. Okie dokie, that's it. So then the next thing I want to do is I want to take this color, which was our medium color, and go over what we just put in, which means a little more pressure on the areas where we added it. So this is our medium color. Hopefully it's in frame. So changing directions, and then Also more pressure. So there's a crap ton right there. There's a crap ton of little crayon right there. So we're going to do this. And then we come back over on this side. And I'm going to do right here. Add some here. And there. Then I'm going to take our lightest one. And then I'm going to go over all of it. So I'm going to turn it this way. So over the whole thing. So right now I'm using heavy pressure, circles, like whatever I need to do to get it to smush around. Right? So there you have your leaves. But I'm also going to go back and see, this is where I would really go and get like a tissue or something, but we'll just do it this way. All right, there's a ton down here, so I want to move this. Okay. And I actually want to pull some of this off. Because we had a crap ton just sitting on top, so we can get some of it off. Some of the wax is what I'm talking about. Okay, there's a lot here, so we can take that off. And so basically it'll leave the color behind, but it'll get some of that wax off. Because I don't like the pieces. Like I said, you like I'm just moving it over, but you don't necessarily want to get your colors in a, you don't want to get your greens where you're not going to put green. And I'm not worried about the background because who knows what we're going to do with the background, if I do a background. All right, and there's a ton here, so we're just going to move some of that. And so, yeah, like I said, so some people may not want to color. Like I said, you just do what you like. So if you like it, then you can do it. If you don't like it, then do something else. Like I like to use crayons just because it's fun. And then you can mix them doing other things too. I'm trying to think, did I use alcohol markers at one time? Like a clear alcohol marker? I think I did. I can't remember. Okay, so then you've got the leaves. Now we're going to do back what we did before, our tried and true black. Okay, but Once again, very lightly. And only in the places where I want it to be really dark. So back here, probably along this edge. Like down in here. There. Right here. Right around this piece here. Right around that piece there. Right around, right around, right around. There. Right. Then you can go back with any of the greens, whichever you like over it, and move it on around. And then there's, you know, like if you don't want to put the black in, you don't have to put the black in. You could use a brown if you've got a dark enough brown. See, and then there you go. All right, so we've got the leaves done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off camera, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the leaves so you don't have to watch to do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to do the hair, and I have 5 colors here because they're all kind of whatever. And I may decide to alter. So let's put them up here. So you've got purple piazza, orchid, fuchsia, violet purple, and then plum. And we've got them in that order, so we'll just set them down. Set them down, down, down. And we do the same thing. So we're going to start in the same order. And I am just going to go fast forward through this because I think you can get the idea.